tropical fish keepers. Welcome to a special Sunday night episode of Aqua Alex Live. I'm your host, Aqua Alex Cardinale, and for the first time in at least a month, I bring to you an episode of Aqua Alex's Top 10. Today, I am going to count down 10 things to know when buying tropical fish in person. This could be buying fish from your local fish store or from Craigslist or any fish that you buy in person. It is a fish keeper's favorite time when you go to the fish store and purchase a new tropical fish. Also, at the end of today's broadcast, I have a rant that I'm going to do dedicated to a special Karen in the aquarium hobby. That is going to be something that I look forward to talking about at the end of today's show. So, before we get into today's topic, I am broadcasting in my new studio. And in my studio, we've got my 125-gallon aquarium over here. We've got my TV monitor and my Coca-Cola fridge. However, since the 125 is really long and I have a certain small area where I could set up a table and my chair and my equipment, it is hard for me to broadcast right next to my 125. So this is going to have to be how I host all my episodes of Aqua Alex Live, but you'll be able to see a corner of the 125. This is where my peacock bass, my severums, some of my wolffish, and my catfish hang out. At least you'll be able to see that. And prior to today's video, I threw in some pellets and krill, and the fish have been nibbling on that. So you're going to see some fish going up to the top of the aquarium. They're not jumping out. They're simply eating the food that's in there. Okay, so today's topic is going to be a fun one. I want to thank everybody that is watching today's video, whether you're tuning in live or you're catching the replay of today's video. I think you're going to enjoy today's topic. 10 things to know when buying fish in person. A fish keeper's favorite thing. Every time a fish keeper goes to the local fish store to get fish food or fish supplies, at least 80% of the time, they're walking out with a tropical fish. And I know that that is me. That is true with me as well. So I want to know your thoughts and your opinions on buying fish at the fish store. What do you think fish keepers should know, in your personal opinion, about buying fish at the tropical fish store? I don't want to be the guy that gives all the suggestions. I want to hear your suggestions as well. So if you're watching this live or you're catching the replay of today's episode, do me a favor and share your thoughts in the comments. What are things you want to know before buying fish? What are things you look for when buying fish? Post them in the comments below, and I will go over them with my audience. With that being said, let's get started. I have a couple of topics I'm going to discuss, and then we'll get into the 10 things to know when buying fish in person at your tropical fish store, pet store, an aquarium convention, or off of social media. So the first topic I want to talk about is why I like buying fish in person. Now, let me start off by saying I have no problems ordering fish online. Sometimes you have no choice but to order fish online. If that fish is a rare fish that you really want and the fish stores in your area can't get them in, then you have no choice but to order online. For example, my wolffish, I had no choice but to get them online. But generally, I try to buy as much of my tropical fish in person because when you buy fish online, not only are you paying a high shipping cost, but you're getting your fish sight unseen. Sure, you may see a photo or video of the tropical fish you're buying online, but it's the visual attraction. When you go to the fish store, you see the fish you like, you want to get it instantly. And you don't get that when you're ordering online unless you know already what the fish looks like and things like that. So, one of the biggest reasons I like buying fish in person is the visual aspect. I get to see what the fish looks like, I get to see what condition the fish is in, how big the fish is, etc. And that's one of the greatest things to me about buying fish is going into the fish store, looking at all the fish in the aquariums, becoming favorites with some of them, and then deciding, you know what, I'm going to buy this fish just because of the way that it looks and I enjoy it. Another reason I like buying fish in person really has nothing to do with the aquarium hobby per se, but it's the customer service aspect. I am a people person. I like interacting with people. So when I go to the fish store and I talk to one of the fish store employees or another fish keeper who's also buying fish, I enjoy communicating about tropical fish, sharing what I love about tropical fish, and learning about what they know and what they keep for tropical fish. That's always fun. When you're buying online, you don't always get that aspect of the aquarium hobby. You're really not communicating with someone when you're buying fish online. I mean, sure, you may have a phone call or an email here and there, but you're not going to get the aspect of the customer service and interacting with other people. So that's another reason I like buying fish in person, other than actually visually seeing the fish, seeing how healthy the fish is, etc. And all of the 10 things I'm going to talk about on today's video are reasons why I like buying fish in person, and they're all things you need to know about buying fish in person. My next topic is the joys of buying fish. So, as I said 1,000 times on my YouTube channel, my dad was keeping fish way before I was born, and I was born in 1993. So, when I was born, fish keeping was already in my DNA and in my blood. And when I was a young boy, I remember going to the fish store with my dad, and my dad had several aquariums growing up. So fish keeping was always something that is very nostalgic to me. It's always a memory of mine that I love and adore. And my dad is the reason that I'm into monster fish because he had a massive aquarium growing up. It had to at least been 300 gallons. And we would go to the fish store and take a look around and see all the fish that they had. And my dad was friends with one of the fish store owners, and they knew that my dad had a huge aquarium. So anytime there was a trade-in that involved a massive monster like a pacu or a red-tailed cat or tiger shovelnose or an Oscar, my dad always got first dibs on it if he wanted it. So that's where my passion for monster fish keeping began. But overall, the joys of buying fish in person for me are simply nostalgia and the memories of going to the fish store and actually reliving what I had in my childhood. And again, at 12 years old, I got my very own aquarium, and I remember actually going to the store and buying fish for my first aquarium. So now here we are in 2022. I'm 28 years old. I still enjoy going to the fish store, looking at tropical fish and buying them. So that is why I enjoy buying tropical fish so much. All right, let's get to our main topic tonight. Here are 10 things you need to know when buying fish in person. And this is in no specific order. They are all equally important and they all basically are very important. First up, you need to know the water parameters. So you should ask the local fish store employee or whoever you're purchasing the fish from, ask them for their water parameters. What is the pH that the fish you are buying is being kept in? What is the water temperature? What are the water parameters? This will be very important in helping you decide how you're going to acclimate that fish to your new aquarium. And you want to do it as smoothly as possible and as stress-free as possible. So let's say, for example, you're buying a frontosia for your African cichlid aquarium, and their pH is a little bit higher than yours. And you ask the employee what their pH is, and he tells you it's a little bit higher than yours. Then right there you have the moment or two to plan what you're going to do to acclimate the frontosa to your water parameters. So it's always important to plan ahead before you get home with that live fish because we want to make their transition into their new environment as stress-free as possible. And knowing the water parameters will greatly help you with that. Now, obviously, if the employee doesn't know what the water parameters are, there are ways to find out when you get home. You'll simply just take your API master test kit and take out a tube full of the aquarium water in the fish bag, and you can test it that way. But that's a lot of time and effort, and it might not be accurate because remember, when fish produce waste, it excretes ammonia, and that could harm the results in a bag. So first and foremost, ask for the water parameters. Because I'll tell you, there was one time when I was buying fish at a fish store, and I thought I had pretty similar water parameters. It was for a very hardy fish, thank God. It was for a large red hook. And I asked the guy, what are your water parameters? And he was like, oh, the pH is 7.8 to 8.2. And he told me the temperature, and I was like, holy shit. My pH is around 7.2 to 7.4. But luckily, I discussed with the owner how I should acclimate the red hook. He just told me to float them for 30 minutes, then open up the bag, take out some of the store's water, and then add in my water and then release. And he'll be good to go. So most fish that are generally hardy species, they're not going to really have a hard time adjusting to slight pH changes. What they'll really have a hard time adjusting to is temperature changes, things like that. But we can fix that by acclimating our fish properly. So that's very important to know. Up next, another important thing is find out what the fish is eating. Ask the local fish store employee or whoever the person is they're getting the fish from, what are they eating? This is very important because you will find out what you can continue to feed this fish, and then you can try to convert the fish onto the diet that you're going to provide the fish. And you could always ask to see the fish eat. If you're somewhat a little bit skeptical that the fish is eating, ask to see it eat. This is really important when it comes to predatory fish like stingrays, wolffish, peacock bass, and datnoids. Ask to see the fish eat so that you know know the fish eats and that you're not wasting money on a fish that is not eating. So it's very important to find out what the fish is eating and ask to see it eat first. For example, I went to a fish store a couple years ago and purchased a peacock bass, and the employee told me it was eating Hikari Massivar Delight. I said, okay, can you show me that it is eating Hikari Massivar Delight? And he put in a couple of pellets and it was eating them. So I believed him and I purchased it then and there. But if the fish does not eat the food, then you know that the employee was just trying to make a sale. So you do have to understand that these employees are there to try and make a profit, but 9 times out of 10, they are honest people. All right, this next tip is really important, and it is observing the fish to ensure perfect health. It really depends on the fish species because I could tell you a lot of things about a hardy fish like a tetra or a cichlid, but it's not going to be equivalent to a catfish or a pleco since catfish and plecos themselves like to do a lot of hiding. But generally, a healthy fish will not have sunken in eyes. They will not have a thin belly, and they will not look like they have been starved for a number of weeks or months. So they will not be thin and emancipated. Even if a healthy fish, has gone a couple of days without eating, it should not be very thin at all. So one of the things I'm going to go back to, asking about a fish to see if it eats is a good way to know if the fish has been in the fish store for a long time or not. Because if a fish refuses to eat, then it most likely is still getting adjusted to the fish store's aquarium. But when we're talking about perfect health, we're looking for signs of ick. We're looking for signs of fin rot. We're looking for signs of parasites, like very thin bodies. The fish may be breathing weird. The fish may be scratching against surfaces like rocks or aquarium glass. The fish may seem lethargic. If you're in the fish store and you notice an Oscar is just laying on the side, breathing heavily, I would not buy that fish because that fish is showing signs of imperfect health. And that's one of the best things that you have when you're buying fish in person is that you get to see the health that they're in. So it's really important to observe the fish to ensure perfect health. All right, next up, we have know how long the fish has been in the fish store. Knowing how long the fish has been there is very beneficial to you. If the employee tells you the fish has just come in, then you say, can I pay for this fish and come back in a couple of days or so, just so the fish adjust to your aquarium? Because the last thing you want to do is go in there and buy the fish after it has shipped to the fish store and they just acclimated it. We do not want to keep moving a fish from tank to tank to tank because that is absolutely stressful and it could be harmful to a fish with a weakened immune system. So what I recommend people do, if the fish store allows it, which generally most fish stores will if you do pay for the fish, is ask the fish store employees or the bosses, hey, I know this fish just came in. I don't want to run the risk of buying him right now because you just acclimated him to your system. I'm willing to pay for the fish and I'll come back in 3 to 5 days and put him in my aquarium. That way you can know what the fish's health is like and it can acclimate to an aquarium environment. It'll start taking food and it'll be healthy for you when you go to pick it up in those 3 to 5 business days. However, there are fish stores that generally will not hold a fish for more than 3 days, and that is okay. As long as it's at least 2 days, then it's fine as well. There are policies at some of my local fish stores that say we cannot hold fish for more than 72 hours, which is fine because as long as you give the fish 48 hours to adjust, then 2 days is not a problem. But when we are seeing fish come into the fish store the day of a shipment, I really recommend trying not to purchase that fish right away unless it was a special order and they don't want to hold it for you because someone else may be interested in it. Or if the fish comes into the store, you could just head right to the fish store and pick it up before they acclimate it to their aquarium. You definitely can do that as well. The next tip I can give you for buying fish at the fish store is to research the fish before purchasing. Research is very important. If you are looking at all the aquariums in the fish store and you see a particular fish that you like, but you're not sure what it is, take out your smartphone and do a Google research. You'll learn how big the fish gets, how compatible it'll be with your other fish. You'll learn its diet and everything you need to know about this particular fish. It is really important to do that. A lot of people will go into a fish store and buy a baby pacu or a baby red-tailed cat because they think it's cute and not realize that it's going to get 3 or 4 feet and it's going to require a much larger aquarium. So always do your research. You see a fish that you like, fine. Pull out your phone, look at the name tag of the fish, and do a quick Google search. It is really, really important. Wow, I just realized one of my lights went off. I'm not sure why that happened. I'll have to fix it in a minute. All right, so moving on down to the next thing I have to say. Coming in at number 5. Be sure to tell the fish store employee catching your fish how far from home you are. Let's say you're going to a fish store that's 2 or 3 hours away from your home. Make sure the fish store employee knows that so that they can introduce extra oxygen into the bag. Extra O2 is going to be very beneficial for fishes that are going to be in a bag for an extended amount of time. Even if you are only 10 or 20 minutes away from home, you still want oxygen in your fish bag. So the employee will then, when you tell the employee how far away you are, they will recognize how much air they need to put in. But they will not know that if you don't tell them. So be sure to tell the fish store employee, hey, I'm about 2 hours away. Can you put plenty of oxygen in the bag? And they should be able to do that for you. Okay, so the last 4 tips that I'm going to give you and the last 4 things to know aren't really about the safety of the fish. It's more about being a shopper at a local fish store, but they are still very beneficial to fish keepers. So, up next, be aware of your tropical fish store's policies. What is their policy on buying fish? What if the fish dies in 24 hours in your aquarium or 48 hours? What is their policy? Are they going to let you return the fish for store credit or exchange it for another fish? You're going to have to look at their policy. Most fish stores will have their policy on the receipt of the live fish purchase. Oftentimes, in the fish stores that I've been to, in both Massachusetts and Florida, their policies are usually written on like a white plasterboard. It's generally like a rectangular or square plasterboard. It'll have a piece of paper in it, and it'll have like black bold letters going over the policy. Generally speaking, in my experience, there are absolutely no policies on saltwater fish. And that is because most saltwater fish are very expensive to bring in, even for a fish store owner. So regardless of whether or not they live, they're taking a loss as well. Um, because when the saltwater fish dies for the fish store owner, and the fish store owner orders fish and half of their saltwater fish are dead, they're not getting a refund or anything like that. So they bring that onto the consumer as well, and rightfully so. So generally speaking, most fish stores will only offer uh, policies on freshwater fish. And generally, it's usually for the hardier fish like tetras, angelfish, cichlids, barbs, etc. I would not expect to get a policy on a freshwater stingray or a discus. However, there are some stores that like to make their customers happy, so sometimes they are willing to do that. But be aware of your fish store's policies. You can go online to their website and you'll find their policies there. Again, I believe they'll probably have it plastered somewhere in the live fish section of your tropical fish store, or you can simply just ask about them. You will not know if you don't ask, so be sure to ask. Check out other local fish stores to see prices on fish. This is something that I've learned as a fish keeper over the last 16 plus years. Um, when I see a fish that I like, let's say, for example, I'm looking for a datnoid, and fish store A has Indo-datnoids, and he's charging, let's say, $225 for a 4-inch Indo-datnoid. I say, I'm really interested in that. But let me go to the next fish store and see if they have any datnoids. Sometimes I'll just pick up the phone and call and see what their price is. And they say, well, I've got a Indo-datnoid about 3.5 inches, and we're only charging 125. And then I check another fish store and they don't have any. Then I will go to the cheapest place that has that same fish that I am looking for. Sometimes that will save you money. And if you're all about saving money, then that is perfect for you. Um, However, sometimes when places charge a lot of money, it's for quality customer service and a quality product. So if I'm all about buying quality stuff, I don't mind paying a higher price. But that's just a tip that I'm going to give you as a fish keeper myself. Tip number 2, make sure fish are doubled and sometimes triple bagged, because sometimes fish will get spooked being put in a bag. And if they're a fish like a wolffish or an armored catfish like a Niger cat or a pleco, they can puncture a hole in a bag. And if they're only single bag, guess where all that water's going? And guess where all that fish is going? In the floor of your car. And then you're going to have to like rush home like crazy to get them home, or rush back to the fish store and carry the fish in to get it rebagged. Trust me, it has happened, and it is not a pleasant sight. And for me, it was actually a fish that needed water really bad, and it was an Oscar cichlid. So this is not a fish that can breathe oxygen. It needed water to survive. So what I ended up having to do, I saved like 3 inches of water that was in the bag. I had my dad take me back to the fish store, and they had to triple bag it. The problem was the employees that bagged that Oscar had no knowledge of the fish keeping hobby, was not a fish keeper, and the store was so short-handed that he had to hop into the fish room and help bag up fish. So in reality, it's really not his fault. He was just helping out his manager. But sometimes these managers need to realize that you're going to only want people that know how to bag fish and are knowledgeable about fish to be bagging them in the first place. So use my experience and request that no matter what the fish is, make sure they're double or triple bagged, or at least there's enough water in there in case the bag does open that the fish can survive on the way home. Especially if you're an hour or more away, you're going to want it to be triple or double bagged so that nothing bad can happen. And the last thing you should know about buying tropical fish from a fish store in person is you have the right to be picky. You have the right to say, I want that particular silver dollar or that particular Oscar, for example. After all, you are paying your hard earned cash. I might sound like a Karen here, but after all, you are paying your money and you worked hard for your money, so you should be able to get what you want. I'm not afraid to say that I have had fish keepers catch any Oscar that they want, for example, and I'm only using an Oscar as an example, but they catch any fish that they want, bag them up, and then I'm like, no, that's not the one that I wanted. And they'll have to like re-release the fish into the tank and catch the specific one that I want. And they sometimes will give me attitude, but hey, I'm the customer, and I was trained when I was working in a restaurant and in the grocery store that the customer is always right. So I use that philosophy when I'm the customer. But anyway, if you are paying hard-earned money, you have the right to be picky, and you have the right to choose the largest one, the most colorful one, etc. I mean, really, they should really not have a problem having you pick out a specific one since they're getting paid to catch that fish for you. So I really don't see any issue with that. So those are my 10 things to know when buying fish from a local fish store. What are your 10 things to know? Let me know in the comments. I cannot wait to read your suggestions for things to know when buying tropical fish in person. This was a really fun video today, but we are not done yet. I've got one final thing we are going to talk about, and this really has nothing to do with buying tropical fish. This is me going off on a person, a Karen by the name of Sherman West. And it's kind of funny how I remember his YouTube name because he was commenting on my gold wolfish care guide that I did on Aqua Alex Live. He was commenting some negative things about my aquarium. Now, before I even get into this situation, I will be the first to admit my 75-gallon aquarium was heavily overstocked, and I only had two Aqueon filters on it. So the water was not always going to be perfect. It was kind of murky and not the best, but that is to be expected when I had as many fish as I did in my 75-gallon, and I had the filtration that I did. And I'm not hiding the fact from that. I have been open in saying that. So I don't understand the hate that I was getting by this person. Nonetheless, he continued to post hate comments. And today I got so fired up, I was just like really pissed off. I was about ready to go to war with this guy. And I was at one point going to do a whole video on him. I was going to like film a video showing off my 125 and how nice it is and how all my fish are healthy and the Frugal FX4 and all that stuff. And I was going to do like a roast video on him. I was going to call him like a asshole and all of that stuff. But then I realized I don't have to stoop to that level. I don't have to explain myself to anybody. I know my fish are healthy. I know they're in a much bigger home now and they are doing well. So this guy, Sherman West, is a parasite to the aquarium hobby. He is an example of the many parasites that happen in the aquarium hobby. They make assumptions on what they see visually, and then they assume that you're a horrible fish keeper. So I'm going to show you one of the nasty comments this maggot, this slime, and this scum Sherman West left. So let's take a look at it. This is what that maggot said. So he replied to one of my comments. If many people are telling you that your water looks like a puddle in a pothole, and no asshole, no you maggot, no one has told me that, then there's probably a good reason. I don't believe you when you say you haven't lost a single fish. I bet you've probably lost most or all of your fish. No, I have not. But what I did lose, you maggot, Sherman West, is brain cells just reading your stupid, obnoxious comments. So Sherman then went on to say obvious water quality issues, undersized aquariums, and overstocking. And I already know that the 75 was understocked and it was overstocked. But then this moron, this nincompoop, says that it was with incompatible species and horrible maintenance practices will do that. He doesn't know what my water schedule is like, so how do you know about my horrible maintenance practice? What a complete doofus. If I had to get, this guy is probably some basement dweller living in his mother's home at the age of 50, sucking his mother's right nipple, acting tough on the internet, bashing other fish keepers. It's people like that that make me sick on the internet. He's a big tough guy on the computer, but he's probably in his mother's basement and he's probably sucking her nipples right now as we talk. And his last sentence makes absolutely no sense. Have a day. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? So I just lost a brain cell reading that last sentence there. So it's people like this that are examples of why some people hate other fish keepers, because there are people like Sherman West out there that try to manipulate others into thinking they're bad fish keepers, and they try to degrade other fish keepers because what they see is what they think they're actually getting, which 9 times out of 10 is not the actual truth. So you wanted a 15 minutes of fame, Sherman West. I just gave it to you on my YouTube channel, although it might not be what you're wanting. You're probably wanting me to go back and forth with you in a keyboard fight. But no, I'm not a keyboard warrior. I will never fight on the keyboard. I will call you out on video as a man, and I'm challenging you as a man now. But like I said, you're probably not going to respond. You're probably sucking your mother's nipples right now, you maggot. All right, so that's all I have to say about that. That's the end of that. It will never be discussed again. So hopefully that set an example to other future people who are going to leave nasty comments like that. I have no problems with your comments. I'll just call you out on them and make you look like a complete imbecile. And by the way, if you're going to leave a negative comment on your YouTube channel, make sure it has proper grammar and make sure you're doing proper spelling so that you don't look like a complete idiot trying to get your point across. All right. Having said that, I enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And like I said, all my fish are doing great. I've been in the aquarium hobby for 16 years. And over those 16 years, I've only lost a couple of fish. And they were due to some mistakes that I made, but they were never due to poor water quality. Like one of the examples where I lost fish is when I moved to Florida and I did not know that the tap water here is terrible. How was I supposed to know that when I was living in Massachusetts? And again, when I lost one of my flagtails last week when I moved them into my 125 gallon, I had no way of knowing it was going to jump out and kill itself. So that's not my fault either. But if I'm really a bad fish keeper, then can you explain why I have a tank full of happy, healthy fish? So I know the camera lighting is really bad. My studio light is off, and all I have is my webcam right now. So I'm pretty sure the tank in this video quality looks horrible. But once my 8-year YouTube anniversary is done, then I will focus on getting a better camera. All right, fish keepers, I want to thank you for tuning into today's episode of Aqua Alex Live. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got a laugh at the end of today's video because that's what that segment was supposed to be meant for. It was supposed to be meant as a laugh, and I'm pretty sure that Sherman guy is nothing more than a troll. So that's all that was meant for. It was supposed to be a laugh, and hopefully people will take it as a laugh. So next weekend, I'm really excited and I'm looking forward to it. It's my YouTube anniversary weekend, and I'm going to be celebrating my 8-year YouTube anniversary this coming Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And one of my fish keeping topics is going to be me showing you setting up the 125 and everything having to do with this aquarium. So make sure you check that out. Don't miss the 8-year YouTube anniversary live this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale, for more awesome tropical fish videos, cooking videos, wrestling videos, you name it, I do it. And you'll enjoy my videos. With that being said, if you did enjoy today's video, be sure to leave a like on today's video, leave a comment of your suggestions for things fish keepers should know when buying fish in person. And with that, I hope you guys have a great week. You enjoy your aquariums, feed your fish high quality food, and do your water changes. Aqua Alex Cardinale saying thank you for watching and have a great rest of your night. Legendary Alex Cardinale here to tell you that the biggest party of the year is going to have a pre-show. Alex Cardinale's legendary 8-year YouTube anniversary weekend kicks off this Saturday, March 5th, 2022 at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific with the 8-year YouTube anniversary pre-show. Just one night before the big event, find out everything you need to know about the biggest party of the year. Plus, 2 of my legendary subscribers will be immortalized forever. To kick off the pre-show, the 8 subscribers who will be entered into the 8-year YouTube anniversary giveaway will be announced on the 8-year YouTube anniversary pre-show. Any last-minute news for the biggest show, live stream, and party of the year will be announced on the pre-show. One of the topics for the 8-year YouTube anniversary pre-show will be 8 reasons to subscribe to my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale. There will be 8 clips from previous YouTube videos on my YouTube channel. These clips can be funny, informal, or just some of my favorite videos as we celebrate 8 strong years as a YouTuber. And it's going to be an awesome time to look back at some of my biggest clips on my YouTube channel. I'm also going to air some never before seen clips that never made it to my YouTube channel on my 8-year YouTube anniversary pre-show. And the main event for the inaugural YouTube anniversary pre-show, I present to everybody the legendary Alex Cardinale Subscriber Hall of Fame. Every year, 2 of my legendary subscribers will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. These subscribers will be recognized for their loyalty and their patronage to my YouTube channel. This year's inductees, inductee number 1, my dear friend Matt Thibodeau from Springfield, Massachusetts, will be our very first inductee. He is the reason why I am still on YouTube today. And inductee number 2 is one of the people that I first met when I started my YouTube channel. He is known as William T. Hannaford, aka Hannah Pro Discus. So Matt and William will be the very first 2 inductees inducted into the legendary Alex Cardinale Subscriber Hall of Fame. And that takes place live this Saturday, March 5th, 2022 at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, only on my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale. One night before our big party, join the pre-show and have some fun. Legendary Alex Cardinale, here to tell you that history is awaiting, and history will be conquered this Sunday. Live this Sunday, March 6, 2022 at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale. I would proudly celebrate my 8th year as a YouTuber with the inaugural YouTube anniversary celebration. It's going to be a night of non-stop action and a night you are going to love. You are listening to the official theme song for this year's anniversary, and the official theme song is The Legendary by Pop Evil. So make sure you're legendary for the 8-year YouTube anniversary this Sunday. Kicking off this year's show, I'll announce the winners of the legendary subscriber giveaway, which 2 of my 16,000 subscribers will walk away with a $80 gift card to Texas Roadhouse. I am very proud to announce that for the first time in my YouTube history, I am going to have a legend in the house. There's going to be an appearance by WWE Hall of Famer and hardcore legend Mick Foley. Which face of Foley will appear? Will it be all 3 faces of Foley? You gotta tune in to find out. Bang bang, bang bang. The first confirmed special guest is going to be a fish-keeping friend of mine. He is from Western Massachusetts, and he has an aquarium maintenance company called Blue View Aquatics, and he's also known as the Diver Man, Josh Rodriguez. Find out what the Diver Man is all about, how he's helping the ocean by removing plastic. Josh is going to be the first guest interview to start the 8-year YouTube anniversary. My next guest is also a friend of mine, and he's also a tropical fish keeper. He's right here in southern Florida, in Miami to be exact. Special guest tropical fish keeper Jacob Ratner will be on the show. Jacob is growing out my red tail cat that he got from me last summer, and he's also got a couple of other fish from me. He's going to tell us how those fish are doing and a whole lot more this Sunday on my 8-year YouTube anniversary. Will there be surprise special guest? You got to tune in to find out. There will be appearances from Aqua Alex Cardinale, who will discuss the tropical fish species he's kept over the last 8 years. And as a surprise, he will show off getting his new 125-gallon aquarium. There will also be an appearance by Chef Alex Cardinale, who is going to make a Twix cheesecake and a Reese's cake. There will be an appearance by WWE fanboy Alex Cardinale, who will share his dream WrestleMania 38 card. And finally, there will be an appearance by Detective Alex Cardinale, who will discuss what he would do if crime was legal, and he'll also discuss a crime that shocked America. It all goes down live this Sunday, March 6, 2022, on the 8-year YouTube anniversary. There's also going to be plenty of surprises. What are the surprises going to be? One of the surprises is going to be an appearance by Brandy Cardinale, who hasn't been on my YouTube channel in many years, but she'll make her appearance on the 8-year YouTube anniversary. If you don't know who Brandy is, tune into the 8-year YouTube anniversary. The 8-year YouTube anniversary goes down live this Sunday, March 6, 2022, at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, on my YouTube channel, The Legendary Alex Cardinale. Be legendary and tune in to the 8-year YouTube anniversary this Sunday, March 6th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.